about the last year and a half or so, I've been following the Pfitzinger Advanced Marathoning training plan, and I thought I'd give a kind of my summary of how it went, what I think about it, etc. now that I got my BQ last weekend. Overall, I think it's a very solid plan. I've done basically the 85 plus, gotten up to 112, over 112 miles a week, which is obviously a lot, but I really feel like that high mileage is what put me over the top in getting my BQ and in getting that super duper endurance at the marathon level. Before that, I'd had a couple just like collapses essentially. One was probably had nothing to do with my training at Grandma's Marathon last year, where it was just so hot and humid that I was walking by halfway because it was just there was no way I was going to run a good time that day. I mean, even if I had paced myself more, better, that I was just never going to make it. So that one I can't really blame on my training. But Marquette last year I actually did like an adapted plan out of here because I only had 11 weeks between the two marathons. So I did like a shortened plan. My longest run I think was 21 miles. And I fell apart essentially. I wasn't doing the full 85 plus miles. To be honest, I'm not exactly sure how many miles I was doing then, if I was on the plan one lower than that or two lower than that. But I got into Marquette and basically fell apart at mile 16 because of all that downhill. And then this last year, I've really basically felt like just invincible at the marathon distance. I've been going the long distance, like I said, running over 100 miles several weeks. So I really think that put me over the top personally. I was running, before I got injured in February and March, I set a half marathon PR and an 8K PR, and I was really feeling great. I ran a 129 half on dirt roads in January in Michigan. So my confidence about getting that BQ was really pretty high, and then I got injured, which obviously threw a wrench in things. But I was really feeling like real confident then, and then I had to come back. I had to do a shortened, adapted plan again, and got up good enough to run a 320 at Bayshore, which I was very happy with. I felt strong the whole way. I was being conservative because I really wanted a good performance. Never felt tired. I was able to sprint at the end up to 4-minute mile pace, so that felt great to get that under my wings. Then this summer I built up to the Marquette Marathon and was a little bit nervous about it going in. I definitely wasn't as confident as I was back in January and February because my warm-up races, my tune-up races were all rather slow, not very impressive. I didn't feel real great about them. And just training through the summer is the worst. It's always hot and humid, and there's no good. I was getting up early in the morning to get my runs in before it got real hot out, and it just didn't feel as good. But it really pulled me through. Again, I never really felt. I didn't feel great, like I said in my review of the Marquette Marathon. I never felt super good. I didn't feel real fresh even going into the race. But at the same time, like throughout the race, I never felt real tired. Like I wasn't like. Up until basically the last half mile or so, where I was just doing everything I could get to the finish line. But felt strong the whole way. Never felt like I was on the verge of falling apart. So I really think I have to credit the high mileage training with that. The other thing I really like that Pfitzinger does is the midweek medium long runs. I really feel like that put me over the top as well. I started, it used to be when I would do a long run, it's like, oh, shoot, I got to do a long run today. I'm into, this is going to be torture. And then like this winter, when I started doing the midweek long runs of, 15, 16 miles, basically every week, those got to just feel like nothing. Like, I would be like, I got a 15 miler, it's no problem, whereas before it would have been like, oh, dread doing this. So, that I think at least psychologically, and I'm sure physically it helped as well, but it was just like, it got to the point where like seeing a 15, 16 miler in my trailer plan was like nothing, it was like, that's easy to do. I can do that every day of the week, so that I really liked as well. I should definitely say, obviously, I'm talking about the higher mileage training plans here, so you need to build up to those. Don't, go from couch to running 100 miles a week. That's a bad idea. Build up slowly, gradually to work your way up there. But I am a believer in, running more miles is going to help you. It's going to pay off if your body can handle it. You got to be smart about it, and if your body can't handle it, don't do it. And even if your body can't handle it now, that doesn't mean in the future it can't. Like, just be patient, basically. Work your way up there, and just get as much mileage as you can get. Some of the workouts are pretty hard. They have a 12-miler at marathon pace. That's like the heavy-duty long run of the training plan. But I feel like if you can do that and walk away from that, I think that is a very good indication that you're in for a good marathon. Because if you can do 12 miles at marathon pace out of a 21-mile run or something like that, 20-mile run, that's a real good sign that you're going to be able to pull it off, because you're not tapered, et cetera, et cetera. So that's a very key workout in the plan. There are others, repeated workouts at 5K pace and at lactate threshold pace regularly, about every other week, one or the other, or both. To keep you, getting those fast runs in and being able to get to the point where, in theory, that your marathon pace is going to feel relaxed and easy. Definitely when I ran Marquette, I didn't feel super relaxed, but my cardiovascular system was, like, I wasn't breathing hard at all. So, I mean, that definitely felt good. I felt, comfortable in that way. But I also was like, I felt borderline the whole way. Like, I was never confident that I was going to be able to hold that pace the whole way. Whereas at Bayshore, I definitely felt that way because I was running conservatively there. But this, I don't think I could have done much better than I did at Marquette on my current training. I think there's room for improvement still long term and all that, but I really feel like I basically maximized or minimized my time, but maximized my performance with a 3:11. So I was very happy with that. The other aspects of Pfitzinger, I did all the core work and the strength work and the stretching and the form drills as well, which ends up being quite a lot. Like, I did 3 days a week I did the core workouts, 2 days a week I did strength, 2 days a week I did the stretches, and 2 days a week I did the form drills. Usually what I would do is Saturday, Sunday, I would do the form drills after my runs, and then I would do the stretches at night to kind of spread that out a little bit. And then I would do Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I would do the core work, and then the strength work would be Tuesdays and Thursdays, kind of break it up like that. So it did get to be a lot, running 2-a-days, doing those. It took a lot of dedication. Obviously, I would get up before work as early as 3:30 in the morning, get my runs in, and then come home after work. Come home after work and put in another run, several days a week, and then get back from my run and then do the workout, basically. And so it doesn't leave a whole lot of free time, obviously. You got to be pretty dedicated to that if you're assuming you're working full time, but it really does build your endurance. You really, you get to the point where it just becomes easy, basically. You definitely don't feel super fresh when you're doing that kind of high mileage, at least for me. I haven't been doing it for that long. So there were times where it's like, oh man, I feel beat up. But for some reason, like, when I would get through a week, like after my long run, I would just kind of get re-energized, even though I was running the next day. Like I was running, like 10 times a week, 11 times a week, something like that on average. So I didn't have any days off or anything like that. But somehow I just always got re-energized enough that it didn't long-term wear on me. Like, whenever I started to feel beat up, I just kind of naturally came back to it. I think that's part of the plan, the way they have the day split up and the easy runs and stuff like that. So I never really got to the point where my whole body was falling apart or anything like that. So I think it's, a well-structured plan. I think I would recommend it to people, more serious runners, people who are willing to put in the work and stuff like that. They obviously have shorter plans, for less mileage per week. But even so, it's an advanced marathoning book. It's for people who are, trying to do their best, basically. So if that's you, I would recommend it. I'd give it a try. I haven't done a whole lot of other training plans to compare it to. Before this, I was basically doing whatever I felt like doing, which was really bad, but I didn't know any better, basically. So this has been my first experience doing a formal training plan. So I am kind of curious about other ones and see how they do for me compared to this. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'd like to do a speed training cycle here after I do my recovery cycle and see how that goes. But like going into Boston next year, I'm not sure what I'll do. I'll probably stick with Pfitzinger, I think, just because it's worked for me well, and it's going to be the Boston Marathon, so I'm going to take it, real seriously, and hopefully I would like to, have a good performance there. Get a PR there would be great, but we'll see how that works out. But yeah, so that's my plan. But I am still curious about other ones, Hansen's and different plans, and see how they work out. If I would be a little worried about cutting my mileage back and thinking that I'm not going to do as good, so that would be, I think, psychologically hard for me. But at the same time, I'm kind of curious, like, maybe I would do better with less running. That's kind of the contrarian thought these days. Some people, are like, run less, run better. I'm not sure I really buy that, to be honest. I really think, at least for me personally, that the high mileage is the way to go. Just because you get to that point where it's just like you're Iron Man, you just feel like you can take anything. You can run 6 miles in the morning and 15 at night on a Wednesday, or you can run a 24 miler on a Sunday long run, and you're not totally wiped out. And it really builds your confidence, it really helps psychologically in addition to the, all the physical help it does. So that's about all I have to say about Pfitzinger. I don't really have a whole lot of, positive and negatives, compare and contrast kind of things. I would just, again, to summarize, say it's a lot. There's a lot of workouts. It's, if you do the high mileage, obviously you're going up to like 107 on their chart. I went up to 112 myself. I overdid it a little bit, but I think if you're going to be dedicated to that level, it's hard to say. I find it hard to believe that you wouldn't see good benefits from that. I really think that the hard work you put in is going to pay off for you. So yeah, if you haven't, if you're unfamiliar with the book, you can find it on Amazon. I bought it on Amazon, Advanced Marathoning. It should be easy to find, and give it a shot if you're looking for something. I'd recommend it. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon, and subscribe if you like the content. Give this a thumbs up, and I'll be back.